The employee contribution went up. So it was on December 31st, 4.95% for each group. And January 1, it's now 5.1% for each group. So total of 10.2%. So that's just the start.
That's just the start.
We're going to, I believe, 5.95% by 2023. And then there's some changes after that that are planned. So all that to set the table, and how do you feel about that? Is that the right direction? Is this program where it needs to be?
In the 2015 election, I campaigned on making this expansion, if you will, voluntary. And I'll tell you why. So this expansion, now as you mentioned, the employers pay and the employees pay into an expanded Canada pension, the idea being that when you retire that you have a bit more money to get through life by.
My understanding was it was a quarter, like you would have a quarter of your earnings by the time you were tapping into it, and now the goal is to get to a third of earnings by the time you tap into it.
That's right, yeah. So if you're planning to live a long time, sure, I guess that works. Here's my problem. Those that are the wealthy in this situation, they will continue to pay into the Canada Pension Plan, but they'll also pay to do a privately held RSP or whatever. So the wealthy, this is not who I'm talking about. So it's those on the lower end that may have been putting away money here and there when they could and through the same programs. Maybe not to the level of the wealthy, but they are putting it away. That may not have the ability to do that now. So now it's going into the government program rather than their means that they chose to do.
So you feel like they're losing a bit of choice.
Well, think about it. If you work all your life, you are 18 years of age, you work till you're 64, you're a single person, male or female, doesn't matter. You pass away at 64, that money is gone. That money goes into the pot. You do not get to transfer that wealth to anybody. Not to your siblings, not to charity, whatever. Now, consider you had put that money into an RSP. Maybe you have 100,000, maybe you have two, maybe you have tens of thousands. It doesn't matter. That wealth can be transferred to a person of your choice. Now, you work to you work 18 to 65. You retire. You have a spouse. That spouse is earning the maximum. You get the death benefit, which is about $2,500. Now that may change. That's to pay for some of your funeral.
Right.
And if you're at the maximum, again, that money's gone. You cannot transfer that money to your spouse so that they can, continue to live. Once you hit the maximum on Canada Pension, that's it. So again, this money goes to someone else. Nobody, if they had the option, would choose to invest their money where they lose all of it. They have the potential to lose all of it. Now, if you live your whole life, sure, I guess that's a benefit, but you just never know these days. So that's why I campaigned, and the party did, on making it voluntary. And the former Prime Minister was moving in that direction, that if you wanted to expand it, you can, or you can continue your own way. But the fact that you could lose your earnings, everything you worked for, and not be able to transfer that wealth onto someone else is frankly very concerning to me. And you want to talk about lifting people out of poverty. This is one way to do that. If you could take that money that would otherwise go back into the pot to somebody else and actually transfer it to a member of your family, your kids or something like that, where they can do something with that money, that is far more effective. Your money has a lot more velocity than it would be going back into the government system.
Interesting point.
Thank you.
So is that something that you think could still be offered at this point? I mean, if the increases stay as they are planned, but perhaps tackling the transferability of that, or is that ingrained in how it's done?
Well, don't forget, when you do payroll taxes, and I consider this a payroll tax, it is one of the biggest deterrent to employment. Employers factor this in, right? It is a factor on their books on whether or not they decide to hire somebody new. And whether it's WSIB, whether it's CPP, whatever the government imposed tax is, the businesses factor this in.
Right.
And at some points when it becomes a deterrent to hire people, and they think, well, maybe automation is maybe a better option because it just makes sense for them, that's when we start to phase out these jobs, and that is not a path I really want to go down. So for me, I would rather more people keep more of their money and make the best choices for them. And if you make it voluntary, maybe their decision is, well, I'm not very confident, I don't know much about it, about go doing with a financial advisor. I'm going to go put it with the government. That's fine. But they made that decision. Making something mandatory where they have absolutely no choice where their money goes, and then watch it well, they don't get to watch it, but whoever's left gets to see it disappear. Is just not right, because it's their money. They worked for it. And the fact that it disappears, and you know what, like I said, the wealthy are still continuing to put their money aside. So when they pass away, that wealth goes on to their friends, family, charities, whatever. But it's the ones on the lower end of the income spectrum that could use that money. Like $20,000, $10,000, those dollars going back to those families, that could be an opportunity for them to invest. Maybe they improve their lives in some way, but instead it goes back to the government, never to be seen from. Now, obviously, if you're on the lower end, you can capitalize if you have a spouse, but if you're a single person, that just disappears. So I have very big concerns with this expansion of the Canada Pension Plan, and I'm very passionate about making it voluntary instead of mandatory.